All right, so I have a dear friend who has a 13-year-old boy who thinks that he wants, or I won't say that, that's kind of patronizing. He wants to be in a classroom setting. He wants to be in school. He wants to be in class all the time because he's social and he really wants that kind of structure. And he likes the interaction. And it's not cheap. It's almost impossible to afford. And so I just kind of want to encourage her and others through this is reminding her that she's doing a great job, that a 13-year-old boy does not know what he needs. He doesn't. His mama and his daddy know what he needs. Just because he's if he was in a classroom setting all the time, probably would be happening is he would say, I just want to do this on my own. I wish I could just go as fast or as slow as I could. I don't really like having to stay with everybody else on these subjects. 13-year-old boys are typically pretty lazy. They want things the way they want things. They're kind of just now discovering their manhood and their ability to have opinions, and they want control over a lot of their lives, and they're just not mature enough yet. They're still fun, they're funny, they're cuddly, they're loving, they're super interactive, typically, not all of them, but a lot of them. And they want something different, like whatever it is that you're feeding them, they want something different. They want to try new things, and they're pretty sure they know better for themselves than you do, and they just don't. So reminding to assess yourself as the parent, assess the child as the child, and giving them a little bit more guidelines. So they need to see progress. They want to see where they are and where they're going. They need a road. So if it's been kind of unit studies and projects and let's do this and let's focus on this now and let's now focus on this, they're ready for that scholar level at 13. If they've been doing scholar level stuff before this, that's great, but that doesn't mean they were ready for the rigor. And that's why sometimes things drop, things get behind, things don't get done because they weren't ready at 13. They might be doing ninth or 10th grade work, but they're not doing it with the attention and detail and ability that a ninth or 10th grader has at 14, 15, 16. So at age 14 to 18, those are those 4 years. So even if your kid's doing high school work before those 4 years, I would not count it as high school work. So just because like my kid was doing 10th and 11th grade work when he was in 6th grade in some areas, but that doesn't mean I'm going to tell this 8-year-old that he's an 11th grader. No, he's just doing some stuff that happens to be labeled for a different grade at that time. He would have gotten a big head and think, oh, I'm all that. And no, in fact, he did a little bit. So we started covering up all the grade levels just because he was ahead in some areas. That's not good for him to think that I'm super smart and I can do this. You can't. You need a mama, you need a daddy, you need some instruction, you need guidance. So going into ninth grade, which is what a 13-year-old boy would be doing this coming fall, going into ninth grade is where you want to put him. You want to say, you are going into ninth grade. For your ninth grade year, these are our goals. Here are your books. Here is what I expect. Here is our daily timeline. When, not if, when that needs adjusting, the amount of work, the structure of work, maybe even the study, then you change it. It's not a failure to have to change something. It's life, right? We're constantly changing. We change our clothes because we grow out of them. We change what we eat. We change when we get up and when we go to bed because of the seasons. We outgrow things all the time. Sometimes things are too hard and we have to let go of it because something else happened. So I would definitely sit down with him and kind of let him know how the cow eats the cabbage, give him authority over his part, some of his stuff, maybe how or maybe what, but not all of it. So yes, you can have this one class, Spanish Geniuses. This is your class that you get to do, but and because he's only going into ninth grade this year, he has plenty of time. There's no such thing as behind, especially in a foreign language. He does need to do it the way the paper says, not only because that's how he's going to get the projects done most efficiently and learn and absorb most efficiently, but also because he's training himself to follow somebody else's path. You cannot lead until you learn to follow. You have to be a good follower. You have to learn how to receive instruction before you can give instruction. So a lot of young men are ready to be leaders. They think they are, but they haven't learned how to follow yet. And so that's the husband's and the wife's job, is to lay it out. Here's the structure. You will do it this way. When that's done, I will give you more. When you achieve this much inside the boundary, I will give you a bigger boundary, right? When kids are going outside the boundary, I shrink it in, I shrink it in, I shrink it in. Can you stay here? Yes? Okay, good. Now you have more freedom because I can trust you. Now you have more freedom because I can trust you. So same idea, that X+1 idea all the way across. Um, just because your kid is complaining, or a kid, any boy is complaining, that's just normal. Like, it literally doesn't matter if you are the perfect homeschooler. They would complain that, you're the perfect homeschooler. Blah, I don't have anything to complain about. So give yourself some grace. Recognize that he doesn't know all that. He has too much jurisdiction, likely, if he's this vocal about how things are going, and he's not achieving what you've already put in front of him. And he thinks he's, he's a little big for his britches. He thinks he can achieve more than he can. He thinks he knows more than he does. um, he needs rigor, and he's ready for rigor now. He wasn't ready before when he thought he was doing rigorous stuff. That's why he's not able to achieve all the things at the end. You say, well, let me just quiz you real quick and see how you go, and you can't do 3 things. That's because you think your ability is higher than your ability actually is. So you have to put in the work, you have to work hard at it, and then you have to marinate in it. Nothing is quick. It's not going to be quick. It's not a fast food type of education. So um, give him some more structure, lay it out, and tell him what is required, and tell him he's going into 9th grade. And for this next 4 years, this is what my plan is for you. We can discuss, but you don't get to say how. You might get to say when. You might even get to say what. You have some input, but not all of it. You're going to do it. You're going to do what I say, and that's the end of it. The part that you get input in, that's the homeschooling part. But I guarantee if he were in another situation, classroom situation, every day or weekly or whatever, right now there'd be complaints about that. Why? Because he's a 13-year-old boy that wants to, stretch his wings and have opinions and have himself be heard. Let him be heard. That's fine. But he doesn't get to dictate. And there's no such thing as behind, right? If he's reading and writing, then okay. But there's nothing wrong with starting the fall as a 9th grader right now and achieving things as we go. So I would just kind of step back, give him a list, give him a roadmap, and show him where we can change things at this point. So let's do 6 weeks. And during these 6 weeks, this is what I want to achieve. So smaller little gaps, smaller little chunks of goals. Break it down to little bits by the end of this month, maybe by the end of these 3 weeks. Not too short, not 1 week. Let's get some habit forming in here, that even if mom's not telling you what to do every single day, you're still achieving, you're still moving forward. Prove that to me, that you're at the scholar level and you're ready for rigorous high school stuff, and then we'll give you rigorous high school stuff. But at this level, you shouldn't be spoon feeding him every day anyhow. You shouldn't be sitting with him. He should be self-teaching at this point, but not before today, not before this semester. So don't worry about it. He's gonna get what he can get in high school, or he'll ignore it one way or the other. Your job is to lay down the rails and continue to make those boundaries. And it's up to him and his free will to obey. And then you give the consequences for disobedience. It's just an extension of parenting. And so I think a lot of times as homeschoolers, we give them a little bit more jurisdiction than probably we should, because we have that comparison of public school or having, I don't know, I'm not really sure, but I think we give them too much jurisdiction sometimes. Okay, I hope that helps. You can do it, and you're doing a good job. There is no behind. You have not failed him. He's just ready for a little bit more, and you can give it to him.